Okay, I'm giving away all the secrets, and I've been told I probably shouldn't be doing that. Most people would be charging, and I'm not saying that to guilt trip anyone. I'm saying that so that you know that the best way you can repay me is to do something with this, along with engaging with the video and leaving comments because the algorithm wants to see that. So if you get value out of these videos and you want to help things grow so that this has a fair chance of making it past the summer, that's really the best thing you can do. So when it comes to a more comprehensive view of the fingerboard, one of the advantages is mixing open strings with fretted notes. When you're no longer stuck in a localized vision of things, you don't see G major as only existing here. Instead, you can mix it with open strings, which comes in handy in a lot of country guitar styles, a lot of Telecaster kind of guitar styles, finger picking, Chet Atkins, Jerry Reed kind of things, beautiful flowing acoustic guitar, especially if you're playing solo guitar arrangements. 2 octaves of that boring G scale mixed with some open strings becomes. As soon as you start doing that, you're going to notice that you need a lot more stretches in the left hand, mainly between your pinky and your index. And that's a really good thing, because simply by using the pinky, it will get stronger. Now I could give you some specific left hand pinky exercises, but that's for later on if there's sufficient demand. There are things that can be done to strengthen it, but the best way is to just start using it. If I was sitting down to actually perform, I wouldn't be in an office chair with arms on it, and I'd have the guitar probably on my left leg if I was going to be doing a lot of stretches. There are things that can be done to make the stretches easier on the left hand, and you need to be cautiously mindful to take care of your hands always. If something hurts, stop, and figure out a way of accomplishing the same motion more efficiently. Economy of motion is another huge aspect of playing good guitar. But because I'm sitting here in front of video cameras in an office chair and can do this without any physical discomfort, I'm in an office chair with the guitar on my right leg. My left hand has gotten pretty strong over the past 30 years. You can get good at this stuff by copying great licks, and when you need a more structured practice approach, do what I'm showing you here. Just running a scale is one part of that process. Look for the typical guitar keys. Those are encapsulated and caged. C, A, G, E, D. You could go to A major and do the same thing instead of. Just start replacing it with open strings. I had to break out of this position here, shift back down to the bottom of the neck, and mixing with open strings in between the fretted notes. You're starting to connect the regions when you force yourself to do exercises like that. Chet Atkins was doing great stuff with this stuff, mixing chord voicings with open strings up on top. I can think of one great lick he played on the solo to Whispering. He was also hanging around with Jethro Burns and copying mandolin licks, and he would do things like on Swedish Rhapsody, where the high E string was a drone note in between fretted notes. You can also hear him using the same kind of approach somewhere in his solo to Rainbow. Jerry Reed came along and kept taking things further. You hear that on things like Jerry's Breakdown. You also hear it on compositions Jerry wrote, like Stump Water. And on something like Stump Water, when he gets to the end of the phrase, he's mixing fretted notes with open strings for a descent chromatically. You gotta have a really good left hand in order to pull that off accurately. And you also have to have really efficient right-hand technique. Real-world practical applications of this stuff reveal that so often they're not doing major scales. A lot of times it's over a dominant 7th chord, and it might be mixing blue notes with minor and major thirds. You can get to all that by just copying the licks, But when you're looking for ways of actually practicing it in a structured fashion, maybe start with major scales, then move on to Mixolydian scales. It's just the major scale with a flat 7. So instead of G major, try it with G with a flat 7 and mix in the open strings. Practically speaking, where do you think typical country guitar licks like this would come from? Brent Mason likes to use a lot of those approaches, and you very much so hear it in his tune Hot Wired. Or over the D chord, you can play a lick like this. And it's one thing to just copy the lick and learn to play them by rote, but it's another thing to see the idea and the concept, which is the most important part, and see where the licks come from and how you can engage your own creativity to come up with new stuff. So what if you wanted to get into the mindset of playing over D7 but mixing open strings in? Well, just take your typical D dominant 7th kind of scale and do what I'm telling you to do. Practice mixing in the open strings. So it started out in this region, and it went down through this region, and then you wind up back down here at the bottom of the fingerboard. Well, could you play D dominant 7th here, fretted? What if that became? At which point you would be correct to notice it breaks the flow when you got 2 fretted notes back to back. If you've got this C here and this D here, and there's not an open string substitute, why don't you just play 1 note on each string? C here, move D to here. Now you can go. Of course, it needs to go somewhere from there. It's a weird note to just end on the high E string. So the next note after E would be F sharp. There's no open F sharp string, you gotta fret it. And you could grab the G up on the high E string and resolve it up to A. So that could become your practice scale there. You've now established the ascending pattern. Next, you could practice it descending. Go ahead and work on things like this through all the guitar keys. I'm not going to hold your hand and take you through every single one of them, but the approach and the concept and the ideas will translate. If I was working on E7, I could adapt that by immediately I would find that having to fret 3 notes in a row on the 4th string will make things choppier and less flowing. You might regroup and figure out if there's a way that you can do it to get things to be a little bit more flowing. Like that'll work between the 4th and 3rd string, so then. And then you could resolve it back on a descent through an E blues lick. So that's the concept and the idea and the general approach. I didn't hold your hand or give you tab or diagrams on screen because I want you doing the work for yourself so that you discover it. That is the secret. You need to discover this stuff for yourself because when you discover it, then it's yours. When somebody just shows you where to put your fingers or gives you a cheat sheet, you're ultimately relying on a crutch that's not connecting your hands to your ears once and for all. But when you get behind the driver's wheel and you start discovering this stuff for yourself, then it's yours and then you can fly with it. So I really encourage you to start practicing with the concepts in mind and the ideas in mind, and from there, you can connect the dots for yourself. I hope that's useful and beneficial to you, and if I wanted to become the king of this, I would literally just start practicing through all of the guitar keys, through any key that contains an open string that belongs to the tonal center. I hope it's useful and encouraging and valuable to you, and gives you some ideas and new inspiration for things that you can take into your own music. Keep at it. Don't stop going when it gets tough. It's supposed to get tough. That's part of the fun, is getting through those hurdles. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet and you're enjoying this, be sure to do so and hit the notification bell. Then you'll get notified the next time I upload a new video. And if you want even more, you can sign up for the email list completely free over at fretboardplayground.com. And from time to time, I'll be sending my email list subscribers more free stuff that's not available here on YouTube. I'll see you again soon, and keep having fun with the guitar.